Hello and welcome to what makes this bike great. In this video we're talking about this bad boy, the Yamaha XTZ750 Super Tenere. Now adventure bikes and Dakar replicas are very much the rage nowadays. You've got bikes like the Dakar Desert X and the Yamaha Tenere, and the Yamaha in particular is very popular at the moment. But like anything in modern biking, there's nothing new. It's all been done before. And Yamaha have made their Super Tenere back in the day as a proper Paris-Dakar replica. It looks really impressive in the flesh. Now, these were a little bit before my time of kind of getting into off-roady bikes, but to fill in the gaps in my knowledge, we have Paul Berryman here, who you'll recognise from a Q&A video that we did a while back, where we spoke about formworks. What did we were talking about the Yamaha
XTZ750, another bike with 5 valves.
Exactly, yeah. This is your bike.
Yes.
And you are Yamaha aficionado.
Thank you. I try. Well, I've had a lot of them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the thing that I love about this bike, I remember these back in the day as being like big, burly, proper Dakar replicas. There was a Suzuki Dr. Big as well, wasn't there?
DR Big.
Colours.
Yeah.
And this as well. So tell us a little bit about this bike, why you decided to buy it.
So when these were first launched, I went on the back of one around 1990, a guy called Ian, and we did a lap of the Isle of Thanet on it. And I remember almost needing a step ladder to get onto the pillion seat. Yeah. It's like a huge lump of real estate as a motorcycle.
Massive, isn't it?
But when he started going on it, there was a really lazy soundtrack, but it really hustled. It went really well, and I was like, this is quite cool. So like you, I wasn't really into off-road bikes or dirt bikes at that point, but that seed got sown. Like, yeah, they're all right. That's a thing. And then once you've sort of 20 years, 30 years has passed, and you start seeing, you know, Son Auto, Gauloise kind of colour replicas appearing, I just, do you know what? Why would I not get one? Yeah. It's just cool.
So what makes this bike tick? So the engine, first of all.
So. So it's, I know parallel twins are the flavour of the moment, aren't they?
Now, yeah.
Yeah, well this is 180 degree, or is it 360 degree parallel twin, so we haven't got any offset crank pins.
Yeah.
So it's a conventional firing parallel twin, 5 valves per head, as all the Yamahas above sort of 750cc were doing at the time. 2 downdraft Mikuni carburetors, same carburetors as on FZR1000, YZF750, and a Ducati 900 SS as well.
Okay, good knowledge.
Yeah, thank you. Yamaha claimed 70 horsepower for it. Honestly, when you ride it, I don't think it's anywhere near 70 horsepower. It is quite a lazy thing to experience, but yeah, it's got more than enough shove to get you around and be cool while it does it.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed you've got the brochure here back in the day.
Yeah,
very cool.
Slightly jaded brochure.
Slightly jaded, like us.
Yeah, yeah, seen better days.
Yeah, exactly. But all of these brochure shots and the studio shots showing the engine is very reminiscent of like the X-Up shots and stuff like that back in the day. You know, I remember seeing these. I mean, they just look so cool, doesn't it? So we've got this engine, and it's housed in a steel chassis.
Yeah, it is a steel chassis. It's a cradle. It's, well, it's got a cradle at the bottom, but it's a single spine up the top. Yeah. Monocross suspension, so single monoshock. At the front end, twin discs, which is still quite an unusual thing for off-roaders.
Too sharp, too much brake. You think?
I wish. I wish it had too much brake. They're kind of like a fork dipping device, really.
Right. Okay.
You pull them and the front goes down,
but you don't change speed.
You don't really notice an awful lot of retardation. It's got braided hoses, and if you give it a really good yank, it does enough. Yeah. But you would never describe the brakes on this right now as anything more than sort of adequate.
Right. And the back brake as well.
The back brake works quite well, and you use back brake a lot more than me. I'm not a back brake kind of guy. But I'm always on the back brake on this because you just need it to kind of help it slow down, and it's quite good actually.
Yeah. Is the suspension adjustable at all?
It's got a YSS rear shock on it, which I haven't bothered adjusting because it's virtually brand new from the guy that had it previously, and it just works. It's lovely. The front end is old, damper rod kind of,
Yeah.
you know, so you're not expecting too much out of that. You could, it is possible to get upgrades and stuff for the insides of those, and that might be one thing I end up doing.
Yeah.
Because the front end is quite sort of loose and
Yeah.
sharp, but you know, with such long travel suspension, even when you know it's not working as well as it could, it's not really affecting too much, you know. It still eats up bumps.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, talking of old, you got a choke knob.
Yeah, on the
You
dash,
got
yeah.
speedo cable.
Yeah, remember
All these-
those?
all the, yeah, all these old.
Remember those? Fuel taps, one each side.
Yeah, fantastic, isn't it? No, no IMUs, no
No,
ABS.
no adjustable forks. No, it's very, very straightforward. Very straightforward.
So, is it a characterful ride?
Yeah, it really is. It's the arrow pipe is fruity, at the fruity end of the spectrum. The motor's really lazy, and the thing where this the thing that takes a little while to get used to is it hasn't got a lot of power, but it runs out of gears very quickly.
Right.
So you kind of shift the way through the box. It has 5 speeds as well, like the X-Ups and even Thunder races back in the day. They didn't have the 6th gear. This hasn't either, and you're constantly going for 6th and 7th gear, thinking, well, that must be it. So at 70, it feels like the engine's revving too much.
Yeah.
You go for another gear, it's not there. And on private roads, I've had it up to over 90 mile an hour, but really you're kind of you don't want you don't want to be there on this. It's done enough. So 70, 80 mile an hour, it's super happy. The best roads to ride it on are like bad surface, country, national speed limit back roads.
Yeah.
The kind of roads which, if you were on a sport bike, you'd want to try and enjoy, but you couldn't because the road surface is rubbish.
Yeah.
And on this, you're super high, you're looking over the hedges, you know, and it does flick about really nicely. It does go okay once you've got used to having super knobbly tyres. But it's just lovely for a medium speed cruise.
Well, perfect for today's roads, really, even though it was an 89 and this is a 90.
Yeah, that's it.
So the best thing about this bike for me is the way it looks.
Mm.
So, I mean, it's tall. Is it too tall? Or is it
For me, it's
I mean, this comes up to our chest
So
almost.
we're on the centre stand,
How
but
tall are you?
5'10", and you know, that's just below my sternum.
That is
So it's a big lump,
Yeah.
and I am really conscious that if I get in the wrong place,
When you come to stop.
like if I was on a super high cambered country road, a tractor comes the other way, I need to pull into the curb, I've got to put a foot down. Yeah, I've got a job, so it does require a little bit of extra thought, but I've got some lowering links for it which could bring it down 40 millimeters, which would make that easier for me. But also I like the fact it's big.
Yeah, it's a brute, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and the presence it has. Like the first time I took this to Halfords to go and get something, and this bike generated 5 conversations.
Yeah.
Just by parking in the car park, walking in.
Yeah.
2 people spoke to me in the car park, and 3 people in Halfords. 1 wanted a conversation, 2 others just went, "Oh, nice bike, mate."
Yeah.
Because this transcends motorcycling, and it's just a beautiful thing to look at.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
and even going along the road, you're seeing people, you know, people are genuinely, a real head turner is an often overused phrase, but on this bike, people do.
Looks the part, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Big old tank.
26 litres.
26.
26, yeah, it goes on reserve after 200 miles. I haven't troubled reserve to, yeah, it is 26 litres.
26
I was right, yeah, so 200 miles to reserve.
So when it's full up, it must be a little bit unwieldy.
It's unwieldy anyway.
Yeah,
it
so
makes it takes it from unwieldy to unwieldier, but not super noticeable, to be honest.
Yeah. The paint job on it, so it's not standard, is it? But there's a lot of them in these colours.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you're never searching for too long to see one of these in these colours, and
Great.
it's just lovely, isn't it?
Just amazing. All the right stickers.
Yeah.
I guess, 91? But Stefan Peter Hansel would have been racing these in the Paris Dakar, I guess. What's non-standard on it? Are things like these crash bars? And
Yeah, crash bars, the
headlight
grille.
control,
I've got mirrors off a TDM 850
Right.
because they're just better. They're tiny little round mirrors on stalks, and I had some standard mirrors when I got it, and they just vibrate, and they're not very good. So
Yeah.
the TDM ones are a little bit more robust. The Arrow exhaust, obviously. a really good mod for these, and something that probably happened around the time the first TDM hit a breaker's yard back in the day, is to stick a TDM 850 engine straight in.
Goes in.
It's exactly the same motor, except the TDM is bored and stroked. You get 100cc more, that gives you 10% more power, 10% more torque, and the top three ratios in the gearbox on the TDM are more suitable for road use. This has got a really close ratio box, and where I'm normally kind of looking for extra gears, the gearing on the TDM is just going to work a little bit better on the road.
Yeah.
So, you know, I have a TDM ready just in case I decide to make that modification. But yeah, it's the simplest mod in the world. It just goes straight in.
And can the handling keep up with that?
Yeah, I don't think that, you know, you're talking 7 horsepower,
All right,
7, 8 horsepower extra.
It's not the kind of bike you're going to go scratching on anyway, is it? Really?
No, not at all. Not at all.
It's fantastic. So if you, it's even got little scoops.
Oh yeah,
Just love
air
them.
scoops that go nowhere.
They don't, do they?
No, they don't. Styling.
These yellow fork gaiters and the hand guards and the disc guards,
Yeah.
it's just superb.
Yeah.
So if you had to sum up what makes this bike great, what would you say?
I think it's presence. I think it's that thing that it's something I can just sit and look at it. You know, I can pull a chair up, sit 20 feet away and just look at it, and it makes me happy, which is a lovely thing.
Yeah.
When you ride it, you get the vibe that other people feel like that as well.
Yeah.
And then when you do ride it, you know, if you're on the, like I said, the country back roads where no other bike makes sense, picking around at 55, 60 mile an hour, looking over hedges.
Yeah, exactly.
The soundtrack's great. It just makes you happy. You just come back from a ride with a smile on your face.
That's what riding's all about. You don't need to spend silly money on a motorbike with loads of power to enjoy yourself. Which kind of brings me on to another amazing thing about this bike, is that if you were looking at buying a new generation Yamaha Tenere, you're looking at quite a bit of cash. Whereas this, what would you be able to pick one of these up for?
So the window is probably, for one you'd want, starting at £3,000, and you can pretty much go upwards there to 4,500 quid for something that's going to be really tidy.
Yeah.
So, you know, although that isn't throwaway money, when you compare it to what you're getting for a newer bike, you've got all this kind of, you know, you can't buy retro cool. Well, you can buy this, you know, but the money in a modern bike doesn't give you the vibe that this gives you. So for me, it's a bit of a no-brainer.
You don't really need that extra power or the electronics or anything like that, do you? Not that the new generation Yamaha is actually quite simple and it's very, very good.
Yeah, it is.
Very good.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't really beat the character of something like this.
That's it.
And way less than half price of the new one. Really, really good. And are they reliable?
Yeah, I think the wrinkle with these and TDM 850s is they've got a dry sump motor, and there's no oil sight glass in the engine. And being a Yamaha of 1990s vintage, they do like a little drink, some of them.
Right.
So you have to keep an eye on the oil level by taking the side panel off and doing the dipstick test.
Right.
So very often with these and TDMs, you're finding them with kind of big ends that have picked up, or where the oil's, you know, owner's just gone, oh, it'd be fine, and it kind of isn't.
Yeah.
So generally, if they're looked after and they have oil in them, they're just going to go pretty much forever.
Right.
5-valve service intervals are ridiculous, you know, well over 20,000 miles,
Really?
so there's no issues there.
Electrics?
Yeah, it's got them.
Yeah.
They seem to work.
Yeah.
You know, I think a regulator rectifier on this has been replaced with an aftermarket item, which I think is, it's a 90s bike, you know.
Yeah,
I think that they all suffer with a little bit of kind of jaded stuff like that. But no, I don't see any reason, you know, you're not going to buy one and be laying awake at night waiting for it to go wrong.
No.
It's just going to do what it does as long as you keep oil in it.
Just looks so fantastic. So the question is, it looks amazing. I want to know if it's as good to ride as it looks. Any chance of a little go?
Keys are in it.
Yeah, okay. Well, thanks very much for walking us through your bike. Much
Pleasure, mate.
appreciate it.
Always a pleasure.
I'm going to get my kit on and have a little spin. the Yamaha Super Tenere is one of those bikes I wanted to ride since they first came out. And the very fact my friend Paul Berryman's got one has given me this chance to ride it. Dynamically, it goes without saying it's not as good as a modern day Dakar replica. You know, a Ducati Desert X would absolutely run rings around it. So would even the modern day version of the Yamaha, which is the Tenere. But it also makes you realise how, although new bikes are so much more refined, they're not quite as characterful. I mean, that Super Tenere just makes you smile. The way the engine works, it's so guttural. You can feel every piston pulse. It's raw, it's chocolatey sounding, it's the deep bass when you open the taps. It's just amazing. The riding position, the tall riding position is very commanding. The bars are in a perfect place. And you know, you're looking around the cockpit and you can see this bright blue Gauloise paintwork, the yellow accents from the handguards and the stickers, and it's just, what a beautiful, beautiful bike. And you know, the very fact it's less than half the price of a new one, and I'd say it gives you more pleasure. You know, if I wanted to jump on a bike and go across Europe absolutely trouble-free and get there, get to where I'm going, have some fun on some nice roads, I'd probably go for the newer bike. There wouldn't be any question. But if I wanted to, you know, go out on a Sunday morning or just have a real adventure where you don't care if you break down or whatever, not that it will, then the older bike is definitely the one to go for. I think it's fantastic. I really, really do. And, you know, I love the look of it, and now I love it to ride. And, you know, is this bike great? What makes this bike great? Well, it makes me smile. And, you know, it just goes to show you don't need to spend a lot of money on an adventure bike or a Dakar replica to get a lot of enjoyment. I'm so impressed. But anyway, that is the end of this What Makes This Bike Great video. If you liked it, please like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more like this coming very soon.